Please accept our apologies for starting your session a little bit late. Two excuses: it's day 2 and these sort of things happen on day 2 of these events. But also the people who were speaking previously actually provided a very good, from a legal point of view, a very good introduction to your subject. So without any further ado, although one more thing I'm going to mention, Gunnar, I believe you have a quiz for us at some stage during your short session. It's up to you when we have that quiz, but for everybody who's in the room or online, we'll use the WhatsApp app again to take part in that quiz. So you swipe down to this particular session, and again there is a task button, and that's how you access the quiz. So Gunnar, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that nice introduction. And obviously, or apparently, being late is not all that bad, because the previous speakers there actually sort of made a very nice segue into what I'm going to talk about. So again, very happy to be here. I'm sorry I'm not physically present. I really hate that, but I'm actually in Riyadh, and I can tell you the discussions and the ambition around the MLETR in the Middle East region is really, really top of the agenda. So things are moving really quickly here. So I think from the previous discussion, I think that is a very, very good and positive sign that things are moving quite quickly. As regards the quiz, I love quiz, so I couldn't resist when I was asked to put in a couple of questions. Let's see, let's take them at the end of my presentation, and let's see if you listen to what I have been saying. Again, thank you for having me. My name is Gunnar. I work for a Swedish tech company called Enigio, and we've been working very closely with ITFA in general, and specifically around the Digital Negotiable Instruments Initiative. And I'm going to talk about sort of the art of the possible in the context of the MLETR. Now let's see if I can, yes. So a little bit of context, and I think Iri and Sean, they framed things really, really well, so I won't sort of talk too much about that. But I would like to get back to the point that Iri talked about, that today, in today's world, everything is digital. Every company, every person, we have everything in our computer. It's just that when we need to send messages or we need to do things with someone that is not sort of online or cannot, and you're not sort of, you cannot do things digitally, you print things, right? And if you look at the world of trade, and you look at sort of all the data points that are being exchanged between the different parties in a trade transaction, sort of the scope becomes quite staggering. And the picture I'm showing now it's a very, very busy one. I actually copied it from an ICC report a couple of years back, trying to illustrate sort of the challenge around sort of interchanging data points between the different parties in a trade transaction. So on the left-hand side, you have all the parties dealing with each other. You have the banks, the exporters, the importers, the insurers, the customs authorities, and sort of all the parties. And on the right-hand side, you have sort of a list of data points, and there are quite a number of them. And I think it's a very long list, and I don't think everything is captured here. But the case in point here is really around the fact that in today's world, all of these data points are actually organized in documents. And therefore you have the documents in the middle of the picture here. So this is the way sort of data is interchanged between the parties. And the documents are really, really key because they organize all the data and make sure that the different parties get the right set of data at the right time for the right reasons. So I think it's quite prematurely to sort of scrap the concept of the document altogether already now, because they really fulfill a very, very important function. And therefore, as Sean and I talked about a lot in the previous session, therefore, sort of the MLETR is a really good framework that also that sort of can push the world of going digital without having to change everything. So you probably remember this because they talked about it just previously. So the MLETR just gives the framework for any country or any jurisdiction to go digital without having to change everything else. So all the current laws can stay, everything can stay as it is, but you can still go digital, provided that this digital thing that you use actually performs and behaves in the way that the paper does today. So just to make everyone aware that I prepared this really well, and that, let me see if this clicker works here. Sorry about this. So as Sean mentioned, and I won't go into it, but I do really want to mention sort of all the work that has been done in ITFA around this subject. And if you do not already have sort of a law that is in accordance with the MLETR, there is still a way that you can actually create these type of negotiable instruments in a workaround way, and you can, because you can actually put in the condition the actual instrument that sort of make the instrument be workable under contract law, because you can put everything into the actual document. So I skipped through these ones really quickly. Also, as Sean mentioned, the Digital Negotiable Instruments Initiative is really helping and pushing countries and organizations around the globe to adopt this model law. And there is a huge engagement with industry cooperation. There is a industry endorsement around this, and things are really moving quite quickly. And already several jurisdictions have adopted the model law, and now we're just waiting for the UK and the common law to do the same thing. So the Digital Negotiable Instruments Initiative is really pulling together people and companies and banks and tech providers that are really interested in making this happen. ITFA has also set up a sandbox, so if anyone wants to test how this could work from a technical perspective, this is also available through ITFA. So several stages. So there are a bunch of technology partnerships, and we are one of them. There are several others. There are Finastra, there are Surecomp, there are platforms, a lot of different companies. And as I mentioned and Sean mentioned, a lot of interaction with regulatory developments through different bodies and different jurisdictions. There are a few very early adopters in this space. I won't go through them, but more and more are coming together. And looking into the future, there are obviously also other use cases other than negotiable instruments, such as bills of exchange or promissory notes, because you can use this framework for bills of lading, bank guarantees, warehouse receipts, any type of documents that you wish to digitize. So very, very good progress, and a lot of work is being put into this. So is there a technical solution that can actually do these things? And we think that we have one of them. And just a few words around Enigio. So we are just a tech company. We're fintech. We're just a tech company, and we are very focused on everything concerning the management and the handling of digital data, particularly in the context of documents and archiving. So my colleagues, they're really, really deep into this. So we have a lot of solutions around electronic archiving, time stamping services and securing services, cryptography. My colleagues, they even built their own blockchain. And that was not because they were very interested in blockchain as such. They were just interested in creating something digital that can store evidence, not use it for doing transactions, not using it for storing business data or personal data, but only to store evidence of the existence of data and making sure that this data preserves its integrity throughout its lifetime. Because you all know when it comes to documents, lifetime can be very, very long. And with today's technology and advancements, you need to make sure that whatever version you put into an archive or you dealt with previously, you need to make sure that you can pull it out tomorrow, a year from now, or 2 years, or 100 years, and make sure that it's still the same and that you can rely on it. So this is really around our company. And having said that, we think that a document, a paper document, is actually a really good standard, and we think it's been somewhat forgotten. But because, as Sean mentioned, a physical paper is good in a sense because you can do whatever you want with it. You can store it, you can deal with it, you can write whatever you want with it, and you can actually send it to anyone you wish without any requirements on the receiver. So the concept of a document is, in our opinion, a very, very good standard, and we think that this standard is actually quite good to use also in the digital space. And this is the reason we have come up with the solution that we call Trace Original. And Trace Original, what it is, it's actually a way of converting what a paper document does in the physical world into the digital world. And if you want to do that, you need to be a little bit careful, especially if you want to use this digital paper, if you wish, for creating negotiable instruments or documents of title. And therefore, we've been focusing on making sure that we can replicate all of these things. So a Trace Original document is a document, although digital. It is in writing, so the way you create it is the same way as you create a paper document, so it's in writing. Also, it can carry electronic signatures, so you just put the electronic signature into the document, the same way as you today sign a paper document. And we're quite agnostic when it comes to different types or different qualities of electronic signatures. So it can be any type that Sean mentioned. We don't really care, but we can put them all in there. Also, what you need to think about and that you need to make sure that you can replicate is sort of the concept of singularity. So with Trace Original, it's possible to single out an original versus any copies of the same. And you can also, with our solution, you can actually possess this single original. This also means that you have the possibility of transfer ownership from one person or one entity to another. Since we've been reading the MLETR quite thoroughly, there is also a way of change of medium. We wouldn't recommend that because it's quite cumbersome, but it's possible. Also, our trace original document can be a PDF, so we can actually take a PDF, we can make a single original out of it, and we can make it possessable. So these are the things that we replicated into our solution, but going digital, you also get a lot more benefits. First of all, our documents, they have the full transparency and the full audit trail within themselves, so you can always see what has happened to them if you have a copy of the original. Also, there is no sharing of business data, and in today's world, we think this is quite important because the business data that you handle today, and when you create sort of a digital document, you put that business data into the document. You don't sort of share it anywhere else, or you don't send it to any system or anything. It sits in the document. And it's also free for anyone to use or handle. The only requirement for anyone sort of coming into contact with the trace original document once it has been created is that they need access to a computer net. And we think that those are fair requirements if you're going into the digital space. Sorry, I have a problem with my... So 3 basic components of the solution. So first of all, you have the document, and this is a document in its real sense. And it only contains the business data. You do whatever you want with it. Then we work with cryptographic key pairs. So once a document is created, there is a key pair created as well. So the public key goes into the document and is also registered on the cryptographic blockchain ledger that we have. And you keep the private key to yourself, because the private key is basically a very long password, and that gives you access to writing on the documents or transfer ownership. And then the third component of the solution is actually a blockchain. So it's a public distributed ledger, and it only stores the hashes of the documents and the public keys. It doesn't store any business data or anything else. It's available for anyone to go in and check the integrity of the document, or to do things to the document like adding text, adding attachments, or anything you wish, and also to transfer ownership. And this means that you can use Trace Original for creating any type of documents. We are agnostic, so content-wise, the one issuing or creating the document, they choose what kind of text they want to have in it. So Trace Original can be used for bank guarantees, bills of exchange, promissory notes, bills of lading, warehouse receipt, whatever kind of document you wish to create, and you wish it to be digital. Also, if we compare ourselves with other type of solutions, obviously we all know that there are sort of scanned copies flying around, and they are used quite extensively. We don't recommend that, especially if you're going to do negotiable instruments or documents of title. there you can today create really safe and secure PDFs, and you can electronically sign them, you can hash them, you can do a lot of things with them. But what you cannot do with a normal PDF is that you cannot sort of distinguish the from the copy, and this is possible with Trace Original. So therefore, we consider our solution to be sort of the best solution when it comes to control of ownership and integrity of the actual digital document. In this context, also, I might mention that Trace Original is, in a sense, a non-fungible token. So it's a digital asset that you can own, but it's more than that. And the additional features you get with the Trace Original is, as I mentioned, you can actually continue writing on it, you can endorse it, you can add additional electronic signatures, and you can add attachments to them as well. So really key additional features. So, is it complicated to use Trace Original? No, because again, we are just a tech component, and we come in where you at the point today where you create a paper document. So today you do everything in your back office system or ERP system. You create your PDF, and then you press print, and then you sign it and you send it off. Trace Original can be inserted at this point when you have created the PDF. We then just take this PDF, create it into a single original, makes it possible to electronically sign it, and then you have an electronic transferable record that is an original and that you can send to anyone. You just need to be able to send to do it digitally, either through Swift or through email or on a platform. And this means that Trace Original is a self-contained digital file or a digital thing or a digital container that can be sent and dealt with by anyone. So if you think about it, you don't need anything else but a computer and access to the internet to manage and deal with it. And this makes it very, very workable because they don't need to sign up for a platform. On a platform, they don't need to install any software. They don't need to pay any fees. They don't need to sign any type of rule book because the document, the Trace Original, does all that for you in sort of the concept of a digital document. In addition, since I mentioned that we are quite agnostic when it comes to content, so you can put text, you can put a PDF into Trace Original, but you can also put a standard or a JSON schema or metadata. And this makes a Trace Original document become even more workable or valuable, if you wish, because not only can you send sort of a digital piece of paper, you can also send over a standard that can be read by a machine and can be processed can be processed straight through, provided that the receiver can extract the data from the document. So no, API integrations are needed, but you can still go digital by using Trace Original. I do have a use case for bills of exchange, but I think I will skip that conscious of time. I would rather like to do the quick quiz and maybe take a couple of questions. Okay, so this is very good. You all understand what the model law for electronic transfer, what MLETR stands for. So that's very good. Thank you all. Okay, so I think I need to make some more difficult questions next time. So thank you all for answering the very, very small quiz. All right, so I'm happy to take any questions if there are any, and I'm very impressed with your knowledge base.
Thank you, Gunnar. Thank you very much for the quiz. I like a test when it's short. So that was very good, because you increase the possibility of scoring 100%. But I'm not going to admit to my own answers there. But thank you very much, Gunnar. That was very interesting description of what you are able to offer. I do have a question that someone has sent in, which may be suitable for you or possibly for Sean to answer. Sean, I don't know if you need a microphone. The question is, if my country is not yet discussing the adoption of MLETR, how can we start the process? And then another question is, can ITFA help on that? That's why I'm turning to you, Sean.
Okay, I'll answer. Gunnar, do you want to?
Well, no, you go ahead, Sean.
Okay, thanks.
Because Gunnar, you have the answers, yes.
Well, I mean, part of the answer is what Gunnar's talked about, the DNI initiative, and I didn't spend a lot of time on that earlier, but we have had success, especially in the Middle East. Abu Dhabi Global Markets has adopted MLETR largely thanks to our lobbying. So the answer is we have another group, which I didn't talk about, called the TRA, Technology Experts for Regulatory Action. It's another group, essentially a lobbying group within Europe. In Brussels, we actually use a professional lobbying firm. But in other countries, so I don't know which country this is, but in other countries, the approach to the legislators can be more direct. It has to be indirect. In the UK, it's a very long process. I mentioned the Law Commission. That's a process that's taken already 2 years because they have to consult and report. And then, of course, the bill has to be presented, so it's going to be another year, and we're hopeful to have that passed next year. And that, I would say, will be very important for English law. Now, in other countries, it's more direct. So in Abu Dhabi, it was really about having the right people who could approach the right people. So through the ITFA network, we managed to do that in those countries. So definitely ITFA can help. We have the experts. We have the sort of the proofs, if you like. We have the information, the studies, the case studies, and all of that. So we can help you with that to sort of add weight to your submission. But what we do need, again, it depends on the country, but what we do need very often is a local partner. So please, whoever that is, come up and see me, and we can start talking. Thanks.
Gunnar, is there anything else you want to add there? You don't have to. I have another question here, actually.
No, I think Sean said it quite well.
Okay.
Because ITFA really good at this.
This other question is definitely for you because it's about Trace Original. If the recipient did not have the Trace Original app, is it possible for them to open the digital document?
Yes, this is actually the core of the solution. They only need access to the internet and a computer. So they will receive it, and it will look like a normal PDF file, but it comes with a key pair. So they need to be able to receive sort of this enhanced PDF, and they need to be able to store their key pair, nothing else. And the key pair is just a simple file.
Sure. Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for your patience with us starting a little bit late. And I appreciate you keeping to your own time frame as well. So thank you, Gunnar, and perhaps we can just show our appreciation. Thank you.